Good morning from Tremp in Spain. The bike chain snapped yesterday. We got a recovery truck to take us to a karting place, a go-karting place, and the mechanic fixed the chain. That was about 146 kilometers away from Tremp. So we rode during the night doing about 45 miles per hour. And then we got to this hotel in Tremp, which isn't a bad hotel actually. It's about £22 per night. The lady there had stayed up while we got in. She cooked us hamburgers, chips, and gave us a beer when we got here. It's now just gone 8:30 in the morning. We're just about to have breakfast, and then we're gonna get on our way, make steady progress. We're not gonna go and do mountain roads and all that kind of stuff. We're just gonna get just outside Pamplona again for another night, and then we're then gonna make our way to Santander. So I'll keep you updated. I'll speak to you soon. Okay, ta-da. We had a lovely little breakfast at Tremp. She's gave us baguettes with ham and cheese and then coffee. That cost £5. It is 10 o'clock. Put a bit of a dampener on what was a tremendous day yesterday. Riding all the various cols around the base of Andorra, still up in the Pyrenees. Some amazing roads yesterday. You feel really bad when it's you and it's your bike that's sort of letting the team down on the tour. You feel responsible. But when we were sat down for burgers and beer yesterday, I did sort of apologise, and they were saying, look, these things happen, chains are a wear and tear item, you know. And then I was saying about I should have carried a split link in my toolkit, and I didn't even give it a thought. I carried all the stuff for the chain to adjust the chain and to clean the chain, but just didn't pack a split link. And for £3, I'll definitely be packing one of them. Yeah, but I mean, how far do you go with carrying spares for the bike? So when I dropped Big Sue's on the Norway trip, a lot of people on the videos in the forum were saying, oh, you should always carry a spare clutch and brake lever. And then somebody on the Tracer forum yesterday says, oh, you should always carry a spare chain. You know, where does it end? What? You might as well have a Land Rover following you full of spares. So I've got RAC breakdown cover, and I called them, and then within an hour there was a Spanish recovery truck with me, and the Spanish guy didn't speak any English, so he brought his young son along who spoke English. The young son was translating everything. He was quite a good lad actually. He was he was having quite a good laugh with us. So what happened was, Richard was at the garage where the train had gone, and he just happened to get chatting to a young lad with a Volkswagen Golf GTI. Richard says, do you speak English? And he was like, yeah. He says, I don't suppose you know if there's any motorcycle shops that's local, that's open. And he said, oh, there might be one in Andorra. He says, however, he says, my mate, he's a biker, and he works at a go-karting track, and they fix go-karts all the time, they fix chains all the time, so why don't you see whether they can fix the chain for you? So he rung his mate at the go-karting track, and they said, yeah, bring the bike down. But the recovery truck had already pulled up, and the recovery truck guy was basically saying, if I take you to the go-karting track, I can't take you then back to my depot and then onwards to a proper motorcycle shop, because my company won't let me do that. Anyway, Richard and Neil, they took the chain and they rode to the go-karting track, whilst me and Liam stayed behind. We loaded the bike onto the back of the recovery truck. Richard rung and he says, you'll never guess what. And I says, what? He says, there's a guy here at the karting place, used to be a British superbike mechanic at Donington Park. He's out here fixing motorbikes. So he basically said to me and Rich, I've got a split link, but it's not necessarily for your size chain, but it might work. So it literally took him 5 minutes to put it on. He clamped it all together, and then he basically said to me, he says, right, don't ride stupidly, don't ride like Valentino Rossi, which we don't ride sort of like 50k or whatever, and then just get off and then just check the link. He says, and if the link starts to come apart, he says, then stop riding. But yeah, so I'm fixed and I'm back on the road and I'm running, but how long that will last for, I don't know. Yeah, if we just
take it steady and don't put a lot of pressure on that chain, fingers crossed it lasts. So we're on the C131 just coming out of Tremp, and we're on the Col de Montibala, and it's a thin road this. It's almost like single track stuff. I've had great views of Tremp over the top, and then great views of this this valley coming down the other side. The road surface isn't great. It's still a decent road. But look at this road, look, snaking into the distance, and the views look over this valley. It's a different part of Spain I've never seen before. It's bonkers, isn't it? How so different the landscape is in different parts of Spain. You've gone from lush green mountains to then sort of bone dry arid land that you would probably consider would be down the south, down more near sort of Barcelona and Granada and Madrid. It was a long one yesterday. I think we were all tired anyway from concentrating in the twisties, and then having to concentrate at night, slow speeds, trying to get to our destination. Yeah, it puts not just wear and tear on the bike, it's wear and tear on the body, isn't it? So the Spanish riders are making the most of this road. Tell you what though, on this trip I've never seen as many KTMs. They're everywhere. KTM Super Dukes, KTM 1290 Super Ventures. Well, it looks like we're coming down into another town. So going left on the N230 to Lerida. Long straight road this N123. Yeah, hardly anything around. Seems like we're just riding through vast areas of nothingness, really. I wouldn't say boring, but not as technical and arduous as previous days. But I think it's just mile munching today. Just try and film as much as I can of interest. So I'll catch you later on. Try to avoid motorways, but we're gonna follow this 330, which pretty much follows the motorway anyway, to Zaragoza. We've got 132 miles left to go. Should get to our destination at about 4:15, and it's now 1 o'clock, so slow and steady, plenty of stops. So we're just going to crack on this long 330, get some miles cracked. And I think that's just the mission of the day, I think, is just crack the miles until the next accommodation. And it's like the first village we've come to in miles. We've done about 104 kilometres since our last fuel, and haven't come across any towns or villages. It's just been long straight roads. It's been quite arduous, to be fair. I think it's more knackering doing the straight roads than it is doing the mountain twisties, I think. Oh, this is nice. It's just something completely different, and just a change of scenery. There's a cafe there, that's a nice little bar. Saw a big castle as we were coming in, so Rich is just trying to pick a way through these back roads of this small Spanish town. How do we get there? There's some steps going up to it, look. There we go. Something different, something to look at. Make the most of today.
I found us a coffee shop as well.
Yeah, a little bar. You are the tour guide.
And a very good tour guide.
You are a very good tour guide. Cristo de Catalane. There's another 2 miles to go according to the sat-nav. Cristo de Catalane. Well, it's a lovely little road, freshly tarmacked. Got it to ourselves. Passing old historical places. We're about 5 minutes away, according to the sat-nav. It just looks like there's nothing around. And you're just waiting for go around a bend, and then it's sort of to open up and present you with something, but all that's presenting us with at the moment is fields. There's a little town up there to the right. Don't know whether that is it, up there. That possibly is it, yeah, because the sat-nav's saying right. So it looks like we're going to turn right in 3/4 an hour and then head up to that little sleepy village up there. Well, this is going to be a cosy stay. A cosy stay on our last night. I don't think there's much here, but we shall see. We shall see. Orisoain. I think that's how you pronounce it. Orisoain. That's where we're staying anyway. This is well off the beaten track, this. What a great place. This is lovely. Look at this. This is fantastic. This is what I like. I love this. Welcome to Orisoain. Well, Palacio de Orisoain. That concludes our last night on Spanish soil. Up in the morning, ready for the ride to Santander, to the ferry. And hopefully some good roads on the way to the ferry. But thanks for watching today, and I shall see you in the morning.